Hello all my yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to another edition of This or That or the Other Thing. And what that is every Wednesday morning we try to do a video that asks a question that gives you a chance to give your opinion. And remember, there are no wrong answers. I can learn from you and we can all learn from each other because we all have different preferences when it comes to yarn and crochet. And that's what this video is all about. Today we're going to be discussing the topic of, have you ever dyed your own yarn? This is a question I get often, probably once a week. Have I ever dyed yarn? And I have. There are 4 different ways that I have tried to dye yarn, and it was super fun, also super messy. So there are 4 ways that I have tried. I've tried the Kool-Aid way. Let's see, I've tried to dye with coffee. I've also done tie-dye. And the 4th way is the difference between doing tie-dye before or after the project is finished. Those are the ways that I have tried, and I'm going to talk about those today. But before we talk about dyeing yarn, let's talk just a little bit about what's the best fiber for dyeing. In other words, the fiber that will take in the dye and dye. Okay, and so I have tried dyeing acrylic, I've tried dyeing cotton, and I've also tried dyeing blends. I had no success with the acrylic. Acrylic, when it's dyed, the process is different than cotton or wool. I have tried wool, and I had good success. I have tried 100% cotton, and I've had great success. And I've also had okay success when I've done a blend of cotton and acrylic. Cotton absorbs that color really well, and wool does too. But acrylic does not. And if you're going to dye yarn yourself, dyeing acrylic is a lot different than dyeing cotton. And the process is completely different. So the first way I have tried dyeing yarn is I purchased some thick cotton. I got it from Michael's. I don't remember the brand because it's been a few years, probably 5 or 6 years. And what I did is I just went to my local Walmart, picked up some of those packets that are your Kool-Aid packets. And it doesn't have to be Kool-Aid brand. Just make sure it doesn't have the sugar in it. It's just the packet. Okay? And then you just mix it in with water and put your yarn in there and dye it. I do have a link for all 4 of the ways that I've done this. And I'm going to put those 4 links underneath this video. That way you can go and see the process that I did. All right? So the first way was the Kool-Aid way. It didn't get real dark, and I let it sit a long time, so I ended up with some really beautiful pastels, which I loved. The second way that I tried to dye yarn was with coffee, and you can do tea also. Like your black Pico tea, and make sure you do a good strong coffee. So what I did is I made 3 different coffees. Don't put anything in it but coffee and hot water. And I did them through my coffee pot. And I made one really dark, one a medium, and one a little bit light. And it took pretty good, but it didn't get as dark as I would have liked it to get. And I used a thick cotton similar to what I used with the Kool-Aid. And like I said, there's a link down underneath this video. You can go straight to that to see what I did. And using coffee or tea is a really fun way to dye some yarn. And I really had a good time doing it. It was a lot of fun and it was really easy. So my favorite way of dyeing yarn was doing what we call tie-dye. And all I did is I went to, again, my local Walmart, picked up one of those kits. And it has like the bottles of the different colors. And so I took my white, again, and this time it was a medium weight number 4 cotton yarn. And I tied it up with rubber bands and I, you know, dyed different portions of the yarn. And again, I have a video for this. It's under, or a link for this, and I'll put that underneath this video so that you can see exactly what I did. And I absolutely loved how it worked because the colors were vibrant and strong. Smelled a little bit yucky for a while, but I hung it outside and before long the smell was gone. But it worked really, really well. And again, I used 100% cotton. It was just your basic like peaches and cream or something like that. Nothing fancy. 100% cotton white yarn, and it worked beautifully. The kits are really inexpensive. They're like $10, and you get a whole bunch of colors and all the things that you need to do tie-dye, because I did tie-dye shirts with my grandkids and I had all of this stuff, and so we did some yarn just for fun. Now, the last way that I did do some dyeing is again with the tie-dye kit, but I did it a little different this time. I stitched up a bag in cotton, just a mesh bag pattern that I have. Again, I'll put that link underneath this video so you can go and look at it. And then after the bag was finished being made, and it was 100% cotton as well, medium weight number 4, I tie-dyed the bag afterwards, and I did it in such a way that it had an interesting, by rolling it up and doing it on a diagonal. It turned out beautiful, and it is one of my favorite bags. It's bright and vibrant, and I do really love the way it worked. And so when it comes to cotton, you can dye the yarn before you use it, because I did dye, like I said, I used that tie-dye, dyed it before, and I made some beautiful washcloths with it. That pattern is on that page as well, that link as well. And then like I did with this one, I tie-dyed it after I made the bag, and that turned out beautiful as well. One thing to remember, you need to set the colors after you dye them, whether you use the coffee, the Kool-Aid, or a tie-dye set. And this is a really neat thing to do, because if you want to learn how to do some dyeing, but you don't want to buy all of the stuff that you need, because it can be pretty expensive, but it's a lot of fun, just for fun, to see what you can come up with color-wise and style-wise and things like that. Because you can make a shawl, you can make a hat, you can make anything out of a white 100% cotton and then tie-dye it afterwards. Or you can tie-dye it before. Use crochet with it. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is how do we set that color. So the best way that I have found to set the color in cotton, and this is even true of yarns that you buy that are already dyed. A lot of times they'll bleed if you use like a really bright red or really dark navy or black, even yellow. And you'll end up with pink instead of red because it's bled out. Okay? And so all you have to do is you can put it in a tub of water, put a tablespoon of white distilled vinegar in that water, mix it around, and put what you've dyed in that water and leave it sit. It needs to soak in everything. Okay? I don't recommend using your washing machine when you're doing dyeing, because it can get inside your washing machine and mess up that next load of laundry. But if you make sure you rinse it out real good, you can do it in your washing machine. But when it comes to dyeing like this, I really recommend you do it in a tub or a bowl, you know, and just let that sit with that white distilled vinegar. All it takes is like a tablespoon, doesn't take very much. And then rinse it gently and the smell will come right out. It will not smell like vinegar, okay? A lot of people ask me that as well. Is it going to smell like vinegar? And it does not. Okay, and so I had so many people ask me about this. I thought I would just do a quick video on the dyeing that I have done when it comes to yarn, and it's a lot of fun. I had so much fun doing the Kool-Aid dyeing, doing the coffee dyeing, and again, you can use tea as well. And also, doing the tie-dye. All of those were really fun things. And they're great to do in the summer because you can do them outside and not get your kitchen all, messed up. I hung them up when I was having the yarns dry. I hung them up on hangers and just put them outside, like across my deck or something. You can hang them up in a tree to dry if you want to, So anyway, it's a lot of fun and something you ought to give a try. Especially now that we're going into the summer months. It's nice outside, and you can do it outside. You can even get your kids or your grandkids or your friends involved and really have fun. You could have a dyeing party. You could get together and do tie-dye or Kool-Aid or coffee and tea or whatever that you want to do. But I do recommend that you use either 100% cotton, a cotton blend, or wool. Don't try to dye acrylic because the process in dyeing acrylic is completely different. And acrylic does not absorb. It will not absorb those colors. And if you do try it and it absorbs it, the next time you'll notice that it didn't, and it'll come out. And if you try to wear something that's been acrylic dyed, you end up with the dye on your skin or on whatever, So don't use acrylic. Use 100% cotton, a cotton blend, or wool. Those are your best bets, especially if you've never dyed anything before. A lot of people don't like wool. I get itchy with some wools. Mercerized cotton is best, and then also the wool that's been spun quite a few times and it's a little bit softer. Those work as well if you're a little bit allergic to wool. I don't know that I'm allergic to wool. It just makes me itchy just a little bit with my hands when I work with it, because I do like wool and I do make things with wool. So just to reiterate, you don't have to use any particular weight of yarn. It can be a 0 to a 7 as long as that it is cotton. Cotton is your best bet if you've never done any dyeing. Cotton, 100% cotton is your best bet. And you can just go to, Hobby Lobby or Walmart or Michael's, or used to be Joann's, anywhere they sell yarn, and get 100% cotton, white cotton. Make sure it doesn't have any dyes in it. And that is your best bet for best results. Okay, if you like wool, you can do wool. It absorbs and also dyes really well. The only thing about wool is you have to be very careful, because if you start agitating that wool, moving it around and stuff a lot, it's going to felt on you. Get all bally and, felt up on you. And so that can be a little bit frustrating. So be careful if you're using wool not to agitate it too much while it's in the dye. That's why I say if you've never dyed before, get you some 100% white cotton and just go for it and have some fun. All right? And the thing is, if you're a coffee drinker, you've got coffee around or you've got tea around. You can make it different darknesses. I guess that's a word. Blends thick the light, dark to light, and really have some fun. And those Kool-Aid packets are super cheap. I think I bought 5 different ones and made 5 different colors. So it's a lot of fun. And the longer you leave the yarn in the dye that you're using, the darker the color will be. All right. So give it a try and have some fun and let me know how it works for you. I love to read those comments, so let me know if you've ever, what your experience has been. Let me know. I'd love to read your experiences, whether it worked or it didn't, or maybe you did something completely different, because I can always learn new techniques. Alrighty, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time for another edition of this or that, and sometimes the other thing. Bye-bye.